Hello everyone, welcome back to On Location. Today I'm on location here at Avon Woods Nature Preserve. This is a pretty measly 14.5 acre nature preserve here in Cincinnati area. So it's a very small location, which kind of works out for me because I find that documenting and sharing with you guys the smaller locations is a lot more easier to manage. It's a lot less pressure on me to fully encompass the whole location and to share everything it may have to offer. So with these really smaller, much smaller locations, it's a lot easier to do that. So Avon Woods does have a nature center. They're only open though for special events, and since this is on this particular evening that I'm here, there's nothing really going on, I don't think. So I can't really check that out, unfortunately. But I'm just right here by the parking area, and we're just going to go ahead and get on the trails here in a moment at least. In terms of the terrain, there's some rolling hills that overlook a stream, and it's basically just woodland throughout. So there's lots of different native wildflowers, like some prairie trilliums and things like that. And there's also a lot of red mulberry trees, which are a native tree of the understory that you can find at this location. You may also see some other trees such as yellow buckeye trees throughout the preserve. So we're going to kind of see what we get for today with it being midsummer here, just because of all the trees fully leafed out, of course. And so that should make it in some ways easier to identify the trees. As well as many birds here. There's also been some coyote and fox that are residents to this preserve, of course, given that it's suitable habitat for them. But I think for today in particular, I'm going to be focusing mainly on doing probably some smaller micro and intimate landscapes, probably just some things that are much more on the forest floor, and really just hone in on the smaller details they may find. We're going to see if we can get any wildflower images today. I'm going to see what they have here in this woodland. This is my second time here only, and my first time in the summer, and so we're going to check it out. Also looking forward to maybe trying out some abstract photographs, maybe intentional camera movement and some kind of abstracts like that. So we're really just going to kind of see what happens today, kind of going into this as an open book, and we're just going to see what Avon Woods today brings us. So let's go ahead and get started here. Alright, so I stumbled upon my first subject I'm trying out here. This is very much channeling my kind of inner Elliot Porter inspiration. It's definitely a top-down perspective. I'm using a 50mm prime lens, and I am situated at about f11 to just encompass the whole thing in focus here. It's pretty shallow, the depth of field wise, but I just want to get everything in tack sharp focus with this prime lens. I'm at about 1/5 of a second and ISO 800 because I am, the ISO number is because I'm pretty much in shadow completely right here along the floor down here, as you can kind of see. But now the sun's coming out right as I say that, of course, but you can just kind of see around me, especially over here where the sun is actually situated over in this direction. So yeah, and doing a 2-second timer mounted on a tripod here, I'm finding works out pretty well. So just a nice kind of intimate landscape. The thing that caught my eye really about this is just that it's a bunch of green leaves and stuff, and they're surrounding this kind of clump of yellow, drying out, kind of decaying leaves. And I just find that kind of like arrangement, naturally speaking, to be pretty cool, I think, and just kind of a nice little sort of found object photograph here. So yeah, worked out pretty well. Nice simple composition, nothing too crazy here, using no filters, and just taking it simply as is. It's been very muggy and humid, of course, with granted with it being midsummer here, and so there's a lot of like dewdrops and stuff all over these leaves, and it kind of just adds a lot more to the composition. Kind of adds some more elements to make the kind of the leaves and stuff I feel more interesting to look at. So, but with the 50 millimeter, I'm kind of like cropping in a lot more, cropping in naturally speaking with the focal length here. And so it's basically I'm picking apart different angles, kind of opting for the vertical composition. I feel like that's a lot better to do in this case, and I feel like it's worked out pretty well, so quite pleased with it. And it's kind of a nice way to break the ice here for today for my visit at Avon Woods. And so I'm going to go ahead and keep going here, and we'll see what else my visit here today brings. Alright, so far it's been a pretty decent trip out. It's just very insanely humid. I don't know if you can tell from all the sweat all over me how drenched my clothes are, but the humidity is very high. Even here in the mostly shaded woodland here, it's been pretty rough. And when I actually took out my camera to take that first image, and my only image so far, of those yellow leaves amongst the green leaves, I got some condensation that formed on the outside of the lens, on the glass, of course, and I think that was just from taking it out of the mostly cool, kind of more still temperatures inside my camera bag, removing the lens cap, and it just instantly exposing it to all this heat and humidity. So that was something I had to kind of make do with and try and wipe it off and get it so it wasn't too foggy and condensed on the front of the lens, because that would obviously affect the images that I would take with it and all that. But just one of those little scenarios that you just happen to get with this kind of season here, and it's just something that you just kind of have to learn to live with and work around. But yeah, I've been doing some of the trails here. It's unfortunately very overgrown in spots. They're definitely not wide trails whatsoever, and there's a lot of branches and leaves and plants that are just kind of like overcoming it, all the way up to even my like neck in some areas. And so you just have to really just go through it, I guess, and it makes it kind of tough, but not necessarily tough, but because navigating, I guess, is pretty simple. It's definitely a small nature preserve, but their trail markers aren't really laid out as well on the map at the front of the nature center. As you can see by this one behind me here, it's just like an orange square, and it's just kind of a weird design and layout, I guess, but hey, whatever works for them. But yeah, I mean, it's still pretty nice and easily laid out. It's just a little tough this time of year with everything being all grown up in here. But other than that, it's been pretty good for some hawks. Definitely had a red-tailed and a red-shouldered one. I definitely saw one when I was walking by the nature center on my loop here on the trail just a little bit ago, and it took off from one of the trees out there in the clearing. So it was pretty sweet to see that. As you can hear, the annual cicadas are doing their little chirpy kind of noise or whatever call. And actually the nature preserve butts up against, you can see that clearing behind me there, hopefully. There you go. That's where there's a golf course, which happens to be right next door to it. But yeah, other than that, it's been pretty decent. I've pretty much done all the trails. Haven't found too much in the way of images besides that one initial thing that I took, which wasn't the most amazing thing in the world, just kind of something, like I said, to break the ice. But that's just the thing here. Sorry about all the cicadas. That's just one of the things here about photography, nature photography in summer, is just that everything looks really green and it just looks very samey. So you have to take advantage of the light, like you can see right here. Lighting opportunities, light and shadow, and that's something I've been figuring out pretty quickly here for my visit here. Obviously not my first time encountering this kind of thing, but definitely a nice, rude awakening, I guess, to what's to come here in summer. But yeah, other than that, yeah, it's been pretty good. All in all, nice sweaty hike, and so I'm going to do the rest of the trails here. If I see anything in particular, I'll point it out to you guys. The only real other thing of note that I've seen in terms of plant life, of interest for an image is there's been a lot of what I believe to be Joe Pye weed, kind of white and turns kind of pinkish color. These plants or whatever, they're along the trail, along the edges, and they're in different numbers and different spots, but I've been seeing quite a bit of it. It definitely has quite a prominent appearance around this part of the nature preserve. Alright, just right after speaking to you last, I decided to go, maybe I'm getting a little bit desperate here, but I want to try out some kind of hard lighting from all of the sunlight that's speckled right through, beaming right through all these leaves above me here and in the background. And so I wanted to try something where I just use my 50mm prime lens. I did not have it on the tripod, but I may try that here in a moment. And just kind of shooting them into vertical, orientation and composition. And just kind of really seeing how the light spills right through the leaves, as they're very thin, of course, these leaves. And just kind of a light and shadow kind of interplay here in this image. And my ultimate goal is to not actually do it, post-process it and edit it in color, but I'm going to try some black and white and have the contrast really kind of shown through. Because that's the really nice thing about converting the black and white, is that it just makes everything feel much more, crisp, kind of, with the light and shadow, and it just allows you to emphasize and focus solely on that without having the color to get in the way of it. I'm going to see, hopefully this works out well in post-processing. I just think it's a nice little pleasant scene of the light and shadow. Alrighty everyone, we're back to where we started here. It's gonna be it for the video here. Wasn't the most eventful, but I did get a couple images of different styles and stuff with leaves and trees and stuff that you may find here at Avon Woods. And so yeah, hope you enjoyed it. And it's just a nice little simple hike out here for about an hour or two. And not a very big place, but you could still probably find some images if you really search for them. So I know I enjoyed my time out here. Very sweaty, but other than that, thanks so much for watching, everyone. This has been Avon Woods Nature Preserve. Until next time, make sure to get out here. Thank you.